All right. Could you tell me your name?
My name is Louis J. Bowman,
And where were you born?
1929,
1929. Are you from Sauter County originally?
Portsmouth all the way,
All right.
except for being in the Navy.
Great. And so you grew up here.
Yes, ma'am.
So was it a different world growing up here than it is now?
Yes, it is.
What do you think the biggest difference is?
Well, I don't know, just the way the kids, they dress, the guys dress sloppy and things like that. I mean, that's the biggest thing. When I was in school and everything like that, we had to be in neat. I mean, of course, my family didn't have very much, but if we took a picture, and the picture was in this sweater, then I'd have to change that sweater, give it to one of my brothers, and that went through like that. But we enjoyed it. My teacher, my old sister, what was her name? You remember?
Yeah, he had some
I don't know, honey.
Anyhow, she sent me letters when I was overseas, and
You mean,
here,
you mean the nun?
yeah,
The nun?
the nuns at St. Mary's.
Okay. Where did you go to school?
St. Mary's.
Oh,
That's where
it wasn't Notre Dame then?
no, St. Mary's, all the way until they finally made it, combined Holy Redeemer St. Mary's together.
Okay. Oh, wow. I didn't know they did that.
Oh yeah,
There was the St. Mary's School down by St. Mary's Church.
Okay. I've been in that building. I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. That's interesting. I didn't know that they had a school. Let's see. So, did you have, how many people in your class at that school? Were they big classes? Or?
no, not very much. Maybe 17 to 20 or something like that. But the nuns, they watched us and took books. We had to take books out to do work, at home and everything.
Yeah.
But it always paid off in the long run. We always paid off in the long run. And like I say, my brothers and I, all of us, we were in the Navy, and the sisters would write to us different things. So
So were all of the teachers, they were all nuns?
yeah,
Everyone?
at St. Mary's, yeah.
Wow. And were they in uniform?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know if we got any pictures of them sisters or not.
You might have them in your trunk. You might have some pictures.
How interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's fascinating. Well, we'll just jump ahead a little bit. You were in the Navy, is that correct?
Pardon?
The Navy, were you in the Navy, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And why did you choose that branch? Why did you choose the Navy instead of...
Oh well, all my brothers, they were three of them in, so I joined, and then my younger brother joined. So that made us a picture of what you got there.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to get this scanned and make sure we keep a copy of it with...
You got it right there, hon.
We will. We'll keep it right with your stuff, too. And so what was your job in the Navy?
My job was I was an aviation storekeeper, and we put parts on the aircraft carriers and things like that if they come back and part of it was damaged.
So what years were you in the Navy? From?
Navy, I was in, let's see. Can you help me out?
I think you were in there in the 50s, weren't you?
Yeah, the Korean War.
It was during the Korean War.
And that was 1952.
Okay. Where were you stationed? Were you...
I was stationed, of course, I graduated from Great Lakes, Illinois, and then I was stationed, my first duty station was in Japan, and I, and I stayed in Tokyo for a year. And then we went out to, they give the Japanese their big building back, and so we had to go out to a place called Etsugi, Japan. And that's where the Japanese planes would go off and do the suicide drops and damage our ships or blow them up or something like that. But that was at Etsugi, Japan, is where I was stationed, my last one. And then when I come home, I was stationed at Los Alamitos, California. Wonderful place, wonderful place. And we stayed there. I stayed there for about a year and a half, maybe a little longer. And then that was the end of my tour of duty.
Wow, that's really fascinating. You
Yeah.
get to see a lot of different places.
Oh, yeah.
What was, do you have an experience that stands out as just the most unusual during your time in the service?
Now, I mean,
What, can you remember a time that was just the most unusual experience that you had while you were in the service, while you were in the Navy?
well, I don't know, but I think when I joined the Navy in boot camp,
Right.
we had to do a lot of strenuous jobs that when we finished, we didn't have anything like that in our regular Navy at that time.
So what kind of things were you doing in boot camp that you never had to do again?
Oh, well, yeah, we had to, well, that's true. But we had to go through fires.
Oh my.
They had buildings with all ready, and we had to go in with hoses, and there would be 6 of us together. We'd have them long hoses, and we'd go in and twirl around and get them fires out.
Oh wow.
What about when you and the guys would go to visit the orphanages in Japan?
Oh, well, now that comes a little later. We're starting off on the.
No, she just wondered about some experience that was that was unusual for you when you were in the Navy.
Sure, you can tell me about that one.
Well, when I was over in Japan, we used to have big Navy parties, and they had a lot of beans and potatoes and things like that. And so, anyhow, they were going. The lieutenant says, "What are we going to do with all this food?" And he says, "We're just going to toss it away." I said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! How about my buddy and I?" And my buddy was a Mormon, very good guy.
Huh.
And he and I went out and we took all this food out to the orphanage, and the sisters out there, they were so happy, and them little kids, they were so happy to see us, and we took them a little bit of candy out and everything, and we didn't think about getting all of them, and so the next day, a couple more buddies of mine, we'd all go out, and I had a Navy Jeep for 2 of us, and they had come, and they brought candy and everything, and them little kids cried because they wanted to get on. They took them around the thing in one of the Jeeps.
Oh, they let them ride in it. Oh,
they were cute, I'll tell you. But like she says, we took all that food out to the sisters, and they really, really enjoyed that.
Love it.
Well, here's the thing: these little kids in the orphanage, they were half Negroes, and
They were Japanese Americans, weren't they?
Yeah, all.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they were a different breed.
They were.
But here's the thing: nobody wanted them
They were abandoned.
because of that.
So he would take stuff to them all the time, didn't you?
Oh yeah. We enjoyed it though.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Now, she got me a little bit ahead of myself, but after boot camp and everything, then we got on a big ship, and it was loaded with Navy, Marines, Army, wax, and taking us over to Japan, and we landed at Yokohama, Japan. And then they took some of us over to Tokyo, and that was my real dreams, being there. And like I say, I spent a year there in Tokyo, and then and a year out to Atsugi, Japan. It was real nice. But you learn a lot, believe me. You learn a lot. And then when we come back from Japan, I went to Los Alamitos, Japan, or Los Alamitos, California. And there I really enjoyed that more than anything else. We had people, we had like Bob Hope there and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. And I still have that card at home.
Yes, you do. His brother was stationed real close to him when they were out in California also.
Yeah.
And they could visit back and forth and go sightseeing together, even though they weren't on the same base.
And sometimes he had to hitchhike, go back to San Diego from Los Alamitos. And he says, Lou, he says, can you get me a hop on a plane? And I said, I'll see what I can do. And it wasn't too long. There was a small Navy plane coming in, and they were going to take a guy off. And I said to the pilot, I said, can I get my brother on? He says, you better get him on there, hurry. And I booted his mouth, shut the door, and away he went to San Diego. and the thing that really sticks in my mind about that is I belong to the Scots Club, and that's single Catholics over, 61 or something like that. But anyhow, there was a gal out there, and she was from not Rhode Island,
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. And to this day, I didn't know her name or anything, but she come up to me and she says, Lou, she says, I'm going home. Do you want my car? I says, well, I don't have no money. She says, I'm going to give it to you. And my brother Alf and I, we went all over the place. If the police would have picked me up, I didn't have anything, any kind of identification.
He didn't have a title. He didn't have any new license tags or anything.
He had what looked like a stolen car.
But anyhow, that was also a nice thing, people. And then we went to the USO. And they had a big Catholic USO down in Los Angeles. And we went in there, and they fed us, and the girls all danced and everything. It was real nice.
Well, you went off into the Navy, and you stayed there for, I forgot already, how many years?
4 years.
4 years. And when you came back home, did it seem like your hometown had changed? Had Portsmouth went through a lot of changes during that time?
A little bit, but not too much. It's pretty, they kept sending me pictures, my mom and dad, and sent us pictures. So we got an idea what they was going to look like when we got home. And when the thing about it is, I had $500 and some in my wallet, and I didn't want to spend any of it. But anyhow, I started hitchhiking from NAS Port Columbus, Ohio. And I started hitchhiking. Pretty soon a big car drove up, and a nice man and woman asked us where we were going, and we said I was going to Portsmouth and everything. And he said, well, we're going as far as Waverly. And he says, we can take you there. And they took me someplace and had a nice dinner for me and everything. And they said that they hoped that one of these days, if their son would be put out like that too. And then we stopped at Waverly, and they said they was going to stop too, and wait until we got on it. If not, if you didn't have it, say within a certain amount of time, he says we'll take them on, take you. But it wasn't that easy because here comes a guy hot rodding. He had a brand new car. He said he was going to try it out. And he says, "Where are you going, Sailor?" I says, "To Portsmouth." He says, "Hop in. I'll take you all the way in." And he helped me put my sea bag up on the up to the. Anyhow, he helped me, and he I thanked him and asked him if I knew that. But I went all that way from Los Alamitos and didn't spend one penny of my money.
That's when you got released, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When you were coming home, the end of your time.
Yeah. And I was on this plane from Los Alamitos to Port Columbus, and I stayed in Port Columbus overnight. That was the end of my duty. Real nice.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine hitchhiking anywhere.
No, not today.
Not today,
Not today.
but then you could.
Oh, I hitchhiked. My brother Charles took me out on the west side, and I started hitchhiking, and I got a hitchhike all the way to Chicago. And that's where I was going to fly out of. Real nice.
How so you've spent your whole life here in San Antonio, Portsmouth. So what do you think the biggest change is from when you were a kid to now?
Well, our church mainly. Can I go back and tell you that it was flooded, St. Mary's,
Really?
and my dad and another fellow went in and opened the big doors, let as much water out, and they rowed their boats into the church, and the statues were laying over and everything, and they tied them all up and everything like that. And so anyhow, we had a
That was during the 37.
37 flood. That was bad.
Wow.
And we took a lot of people into our home. We were just crowded, but we just wanted to help them that was stayed there, during the flood. But the flood was unusual. And we'd go down so far and see the water come in and everything. And it was just something
So
that...
were you a young kid?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you can actually remember that then.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I can remember our first grade. She's
He can remember all that. I can't remember any of that, but he can.
I can remember anything from my first grade on up.
Yeah.
But we had good teachers, like I say, they were nuns, and they made us they made us learn. I'll tell you.
So
Okay.
you how old were you during the 1937 flood?
He would have been 8. He was born in 29. And he's in 37. He would have
Yeah.
been 8 years old.
So you said you could stay at your house and you took a lot of people into your house?
Yes.
And,
Mhm.
wow. I spoke with a lady yesterday. She said she stayed at the Lincoln School.
Okay, that was pretty close to where I lived.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
No.
I can't even imagine the city being underwater.
Oh man, it's just unreal. It is unreal. And the houses that were floating down and everything. And like I say, our St. Mary's Church, it was really flooded down. And they, after the flood went down and everything, they tried to reclaim it and everything like that. And then today, on today's church, this priest, young priest, he has redecorated that, put all new angels up in the ceiling like they used to be, big lights and everything. It's beautiful.
Restored it what it used to
I
be.
saw them working on the windows.
Pardon?
I saw them working on the windows last fall.
Yes. It's very beautiful. They restored it as
All you have to do
close
is just
as they
walk in there
could to
and take a
what it
look.
looked like.
They don't care. The priest might be there and he could tell you,
Yeah.
more about it. Well, I could probably tell him more about it than he can because he's just a young guy and real good. Father Ted.
Well, we're going to keep these interviews
Okay.
at the library forever. So would you like to leave any messages or have anything to say to kids, grandkids, anything that you want to make sure is on there so they can watch it?
Well, here's the thing. We got 8 kids between us.
Oh my goodness.
She's got 4 and I got 4. And they all turned out real good as far as I'm concerned. You know, some of them went their way. I mean, some of them is in North Carolina and South Carolina and of course Cincinnati.
We have 15 grandchildren.
Yeah, and they were all good kids too.
Yes.
Yeah,
We have 15 really good grandkids. We sure do.
and they went through the grade school on up.
They're all in college. Some of
Yeah.
them have graduated. And we had 4 still in Shawnee State here. So they're doing really well.
All right. Anything that you want to leave for? Make sure you want to tell them or nothing like that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much for talking.
Okay, Heidi.
Thank you.
And you could have that picture.
I will keep it, and we will keep it with your tape. too.
Okay.